Well, Greece is still scrambling to secure its next rescue payout. Over the weekend, Papandreou's government pushed through €6.6 billion of new cutbacks and taxes. Greece says that'll leave next year's deficit at 6.8% of GDP, and that's short of the target set by the EU and IMF of 6.5%. The new cuts include plans to fire public sector workers. 30,000 are going to be identified for early retirement or dismissal by December. Well, those austerity measures have been approved ahead of a European finance ministers meeting in Luxembourg. Our economics editor, David Tweed, is there. So, David, how close does this bring Greece to getting its next aid payment?
Good morning, Mark. Well, it brings Greece a little bit closer getting that aid payment, but just not close enough to get the aid today, because even though the cabinet has approved the budget, it still needs to go to the Greek parliament, and then we need the Troika, which is the European Central Bank, the European Commission and the IMF, to come up with their report on the progress that Greece is making in order to reach its budget targets. So Papandreou last night said that there would be another finance ministers meeting on October the 13th, and it's at that meeting that the decision will be made on paying out the next tranche, €8 billion for Greece there, Mark.
David, there's been a lot of criticism at the way officials have handled the crisis so far. So what will be happening at this meeting?
You're absolutely right about that criticism, because think about what happened at the IMF meetings in Washington last week, a complete chorus of international finance officials saying that the Europeans haven't done enough to put a line underneath this debt crisis. The economist Nouriel Roubini, he says that European finance ministers need to pull out the big guns.
So you need a huge bazooka, at least €2 trillion of money, to make sure that even if they do the right thing, it's going to take them at least 12 months to restore their policy credibility. So you have to avoid a self-fulfilling run on them through a large lend of last resort. The 440 of the EFSF is not sufficient because half of it is committed to Greece, Ireland and Portugal. So there's only 200 billion left for Italy and Spain. They're going to run out of money by year end.
But, Mark, we're not going to see any big guns pulled out today. In fact, there won't be any decisions made at the finance ministers' meeting. What we will get is a whole series of signposts on the way to decisions that need to be presented to the G20 in November. And there are three main subjects. First of all, how to deal with Greece. Secondly, making the rescue funds even more flexible than they already are. And thirdly, this whole thorny issue of the bank recapitalisations, Mark.
And David, just on the issue of some kind of bazooka, is there any possibility officials will pull it out of the bag?
Well, look, this is a discussion that's certainly going to start because people are looking at the EFSF, the so-called rescue fund, the temporary rescue fund, and they're saying after the changes have been approved by all of the national parliaments, which has been going on at the moment with Germany just approving last week, they should actually try and make it even more flexible, to take the money within there and to increase its firepower. Now, Christian Noyer, who's the governor of the Bank of France, he's been speaking in Tokyo today. He says he's not adverse to the idea of that EFSF being able to use more leverage in order to increase its firepower. We don't know what sort of leverage it might be, Mark, but certainly it's going to be something which is going to be discussed today and in many meetings over the next couple of months, Mark.
David, thanks a lot. Let's just